So I'll be moderating this session. So after your profile, Mr. Ayomide, you can now start. So I'm trying to get to read your profile. Please give me a second.
Sure.
So Mr. Ayomide decided to study computer science. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can.
Okay, all right.
Yes, we can.
So Mr.
Yes, we can. We
Ayomide
can.
decided to study computer science because he was intrigued by systems. His courses and internship during his undergrad morphed this interest into a passion to empower people, businesses, and communities. Since pursued knowledge with this goal in mind, and so far he has been able to apply his expertise in big tech firms and the financial services industry on 2 continents. He currently works at Google Cloud in Highland as a site reliability engineer. Previously, he worked at Team Apt Limited, where he built internet banking and merchant management products for Nigerian banks. So after this, you'll be the next voice you'll be hearing on this call is Ayomide. Ayomide, you have the show.
Cool.
Welcome.
Thanks for the intro. Hi everyone. Happy to be here. They all kind of reached out, and I think like these study groups are really cool and a good way to help people that are trying to go through their learning process. So yeah, like I'm hoping that people can sorry, is that a call? Please can you mute yourself? Thanks. Okay, cool. So there are a few questions already.
Can everyone mute?
Yeah, there are a few questions already on that I have here that I'll just like share, and we'll try and work through them. And if there's like more time, then I guess people would like people can ask questions, right? So yeah, I'll share my screen. Give me 1 sec. Can everyone see this?
Yes, we can.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. So I'll just kind of go through the questions here, and if you have a question at all in this class, please just like raise your hand or let me know in the chat, and I'll probably prioritize that since like you're on the call physically, right? All right. So is the class beginner friendly? This isn't necessarily a class, I think. The study group is just a way to guide you in your learning process. So my assumption here is that you're going to be driving a lot of your learning yourself, and you will come with like specific issues you're facing. So I don't think it's necessarily a class. But yeah, like it doesn't matter the kind of questions you ask. You can ask like beginner questions, advanced questions, whatever, and we'll try to get you some help. So the second is a question: given an array of size n containing elements from 1 to n, find the position after exactly k jumps from index 1, where the jump from the ith index sends to array I index. Okay, interesting. So that's a question that we need to solve. I'll leave that one for a sec and come down. So I don't know if this counts as a technical question, but can you recommend a really good resource for learning DSA from scratch? So one book I would recommend that is really cool is Computer Science Distilled. It kind of introduces data structures and algorithms in a very beginner-friendly way and an intuitive way, so that you can build up on it, build up on the understanding you get from the book. So that's one resource. Then what else? I guess Leet Code, right? Like Premium Leet Code, then Pramp is a good resource as well. So Pramp, use Pramp to practice interviewing. The cracking a coding interview is another good one. That was not I kind of computer science understood was what helped me. But I know that cracking the coding interview helped like a bunch of other people. So that could be something else to check out. Cool. So what's the easiest way to implement a hash table in Java? So you can implement a hash table in Java using, what's the easiest way? You can implement it using an array, a hash function. So I have this GitHub. I actually would just link to the GitHub, to be honest, where I implemented a few of those. So hash table will be a hash map, and I have like a Java implementation here. So I would just drop this link for the person that has asked. The way that I implemented this is dark. Can I make this bright? How do I do that? I need to sign in. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, cool. That's brighter. Thanks. So I have like an implementation of a map here, and I think I used an array and a linked list or something. So there are different ways you can implement it. So you can use a list, a linked list, a binary search tree to kind of handle collisions. If all of that is confusing, I don't think we would have enough time to actually go through what a map means for people that don't know what a map means, what a map is. I would just recommend going through this repo. I took some time to explain it here. Yeah. So I hope that helps. How do I join the data structure and algorithms channel? Yeah, I guess you would have joined before submitting this question. But yeah, ask Adara or search. If you're on the Slack group, just search for it. Like you can see the available public channels. It's one of them. JavaScript data structures and algorithms. That's my question. I'm not sure what to do there. So I'll leave that one. How do I get access to mentors, learning resources to begin data structures and algorithms from scratch? Like I said, right, a good place to start is computer science distilled, in my opinion. That's kind of what the book that helped me form like a foundational understanding. And from there, I kind of had to drive my learning myself. I would recommend that you, oh, but this is interesting. I actually have quite like a few, give me 1 sec, sorry. I made like an Excel sheet at some point. Maybe you find that interesting. Give me 1 sec. Sheets. I made an Excel sheet to kind of help some people plan their data structure and algorithms journey. I don't know that that's like the perfect way to learn. It was just my interpretation. So I can share the link, and if you find it helpful, then you can use it. So here's the link. I think it should be public. Yeah, so you can make a copy of it and do whatever you want with it. So I took some time there, and in the link you would see that there are there are multiple sheets. So the prep phase 1 is like the beginner stage. Prep phase 2 would be like intermediate. Prep phase 3 would be advanced. Then there is another sheet called coding steps, which is basically the steps I take when I want to solve a question, right? So yeah, and I put some extra resources as well there, so those might be helpful. All right, what is the role of data structures in building web applications and software? Can these links also be posted on the Slack channel? Sure, I can do that after the class, for sure, definitely. So what is the role of data structures in building web applications and software? So I had an interesting, let me see if I can find the interesting presentation at Oscar Fest this year. I think if I search Oscar, it should come up. Nope, give me a sec, sorry. Okay, cool. So I have this presentation here. I would show it here as well. So I'll just go through like a few of the stuff I have written here. I think this would be helpful. So I talk about how, like, for example, when I was building a recruitment platform, my understanding of linked lists helped me approach a problem that would otherwise have been difficult to implement in an interesting way. So linked list helped me do that. Then I spoke about how I was building something called an expression evaluator. So an expression evaluator is like, like Excel, like you give an expression, like a mathematical expression, and it would return the value. So I was building an expression evaluator, and an understanding of trees and the post-order traversal of trees helped me implement that. And I think that, my understanding there of data structure and algorithms made approaching a problem a lot easier. And these are like actual things that you build into software. So for example, Excel has this. If you give Excel return a value, then I spoke about how, like, I was using a banking app and I was thinking about how, like, a particular feature was implemented, and an understanding of data structure and algorithm helped me there to understand, or at least to approximate what's happening. I didn't know that was exact. And I spoke about stuff like Spotify. So in Spotify, you have like your queues of songs, and how, like, I can think about that as a linked list and queue. So yeah, those are like practical things, I think. But more, I guess, more generally, like stuff like caches, stuff like your messaging queues, stuff like your networks. Those are all like data structure stuff. Like, if you understand data structures, you probably be able to understand this a lot better. Do you have a CS background? So this is a question from the chat. Do you have a CS background with the way you were able to grasp DSA? I do have a CS background. I studied computer science at Covenant University. But after I was done with school was actually when I went to properly learn data structures and algorithms. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to kind of not acknowledge the fact that maybe like a background in computer science might have made it easier. But I do know people that didn't study computer science, but have also been able to learn and understand as much as or even more than I do. So yeah, I wouldn't say like having a background means that you can't understand it well. So having a background in computer science means you can understand it well. So yeah. What language specific will the data structure algorithm class be taking on? So again, this isn't a class, it's a study group. So everyone needs to be like own their learning process. And the group will be there to, provide guidance, provide answers. I shared the Excel sheet, the sheet I made to like help people prepare. So maybe you can use that if that helps you. I added a lot of links as well. So yeah. And not there's like you don't need a specific language, by the way. I kind of want to say that because I kind of saw JavaScript DSAs here. And there was another question here that talked about Python or something. So there's no specific language to learn these structures and algorithms in, right? Like you can use any language you want. Usually most of the, like if you want to interview, most of the popular languages that companies would allow you interview for would be like Java, Python, C, C++, JavaScript, and so on, Golang. So maybe like one of those languages, so that when you're interviewing, you can use one of them. But I don't think like it matters too much which one you choose. Yeah. Then how can I get better at coming up with possible ways to solve a DSA problem? So this is a good question, really good question. And we would see that in, when we solve this one. I think there's another question. I don't know if we'd have time to solve it. It looks fun though. So maybe I can spend extra time actually. But yeah, we can, while we're solving these questions, I guess these are questions, I haven't seen this question before. This one looks kind of familiar, but I'm not sure I remember it. But yeah, like as we solve the questions, you will see how I like think about like approach it. I might not get an answer, which actually makes that fun, right? And I would need help from like people in the chat. So let's see how that goes. But also more generally, like I said, I have this link here. This is the link I shared with people in the group. I'll share it on the Slack group after this call. But I have like a particular sheet here called coding steps, right? And like this is really critical. So when I am solving a question, I roughly go through the steps. So when I have a question, I repeat the question in my own words. So I see like a lead code question or something or anything, to be honest. And this kind of also applies to like general software engineering, like kind of problems I'm solving at work. I need to make sure I actually understand what the problem is saying. And one good way that I know that I understand the problem is by repeating it in my own words. Then after I do that, I, try to make sure I know like what kind of input are we getting, what kind of output do we want from, our solution. Then I ask a bunch of clarifying questions. If I don't understand the problem, if there are things that aren't very clear to me, this is where I clarify. This is why I ask, like you can ask stuff like, how big will the input be? Yeah, and just stuff like in the question that's, if like, for example, there's an assumption in the question that the input only has unique values, but you're not sure, like that, it doesn't state it explicitly. You can ask that as a question, for example. Then you think about edge cases, then you come up like with your first approach. So think about how you want to solve the problem first. Like the first approach that comes to your mind, just kind of say it out, write it, think about, if you're going to implement that, how would you implement it? What is the time and space complexity of that? Then usually there's always like a more, what's the word? Efficient approach. And this is critical, like when you're interviewing, right? In an interview, do not write any code until you have agreed on an approach with your interviewer, right? So you come up with one approach, you talk about the pseudocode and space and time complexity, but usually like your interviewer would like nudge you to like continue to look for an efficient solution. If they do that, it means that there's probably something more efficient you can come up with, and you should try to get it. And so this is where the second approach comes in. So you you know, yeah, this is where the second approach comes in. So you try to think of the more efficient solution. You also talk about the pseudocode and time and space complexity for that. And once you get like a sort of like an agreement with your interviewer, then you write up the code. So write it, then you test it, and like make sure it's working as you expect. So yeah, those are like general steps I go through, and yeah, we'll see how that applies in the world, in the real world, shortly. How do you identify algorithms with? Sorry, I kind of skipped some questions in there. This is where we are. What instruction is an algorithm is top 10 every developer must know? I don't know an answer to that. I can give you off the top of my head, maybe like the ones in the first phase I put here. So know your strings, arrays, lists, linked lists, stacks, queues, maps, sets, recursion as an algorithm. Trees, algorithms also come with trees like BFS and DFS. Yeah, and your binary search, you know, that posted up, blah, blah, blah. Then graphs, then sorting algorithms. Yeah, maybe I'll say that. So yeah, get this link, clean it. Those are the ones I would recommend. What is the best way to start learning the essays? I've kind of answered this already, I think. I want to know if Python would be taught. What does 5 to 10 mean on the sheet? Where is the sheet? Oh, solve 5 to 10 questions. Yeah, and this means solve 11 to 20 questions. Yeah, that's what that means. How do you identify algorithms with O log n and n log n time complexities? How do you find out space complexity of an algorithm? So this is cool. I do not think we'll have enough time to talk about this. This is like I don't know, maybe we'll have a class on this or something in the future. But there's a great link that someone posted on the Slack group that is actually great. Like super, super great. Give me 1 second. This one. So that whole like this whole what do you call it, playlist is awesome. So I would recommend watching those to kind of get a grasp of stuff. But yeah, like a log n solution would be like binary search, and log n would be like creating like a priority queue or something, as an example. Does recursion work the same way in all programming languages like C? I'm not sure what you mean. What you mean by works the same way? Can you clarify that for me, please? Then this question here says linked list and hash tables. I'm going to assume that this person was asking how they work. And for that, again, I would recommend this repo. I spoke about, let's speak about linked list. Yeah, dude. I spoke about single and double linked lists. Yeah, I gave quite some time there. So I think that would be most helpful. And I also have like a map one too. So map is also there. So yeah, you should check that out. What is the most durable data structure? What does durable mean? Sorry, English. Able to withstand wear, pressure, damage, having endurance. I don't know what the question. I guess it depends on the context. For data structures that, so for example, like a linked list, you don't have to define the size beforehand. So you can keep adding nodes to a linked list as you need. An array, you need to define the size beforehand. So it's possible that, you know, you like if you want to add more values than the size of your array, you would need to create a new array. But for a linked list, you don't need to do that. So maybe that makes a linked list more durable in that respect than an array. I don't know. It depends on the context, I guess. Right. So C is pointers, Java is references. I'm guessing you're talking about recursion here. Yeah, I want like Abdul him to clarify what he means. Like, do you mean that does recursion happen this like get called the same way? Like, do you implement recursion the same way? Like by calling the same function again and again? Or like what do you mean? Yeah. Again, like DSs are not language specific. You can pick any language you want. The purpose of linked lists is to solve some of the limitations that occur in arrays. So my question is, considering a language like JavaScript, I can't seem to see that. So I can't see this. I can't see this one, and I can't scroll for some reason. Adora. Sure. Cool. Thanks. How does this improve software development? Again, I kind of spoke about DSs and software systems here. And I also think that, as you learn to solve, as you think about DSAs, you think about the algorithms, learn them, I think about like these structured algorithms as a toolbox, right? There are some classes of problems that are just easier to solve because you understand these structures and algorithms, right? And just like understanding them also helps you approach problems in I don't know, like a systematic way. So even if it's a problem you've never seen before, I think there was a point here where even though like there's a problem you've never seen before, you can think about how data structures and algorithms might be helpful there, like your knowledge. So for example, this recruitment platform I made, I didn't go in thinking, oh yeah, I know a linked list, so I can probably use a linked list to solve this. There was just a problem I needed to model like a problem where we move from one interview stage to the other. So when you've passed like an interview stage, we want it to move it to the next one automatically. And modeling that as a linked list was just the most natural way for me to represent that. And that was just because I had a knowledge of linked lists. I don't know how I'll have represented it if I didn't. Maybe a different way, I don't know. Best resource to learn, I've answered this already. Cool. What are the other questions? Let me see. Big notation, I've sent a link. How to invert a binary tree. Yeah, I do. And that is because like inverting binary tree just means switching left and right as you go. So it's not too difficult to remember. How do you define what's defined by balanced binary tree? I mean we can Google that, to be honest. Balanced binary tree. I don't remember. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. So balanced binary tree, a balanced binary tree also referred to as a height. I don't know if you guys can see this. As a height balanced binary tree, defined as a binary tree in which the height of the left and right subtree of any node differ by no more than one. Yeah, I mean, I would learn this if I needed it in the moment, but I'm not keeping that definition in my head for sure. But yeah, that's what the balanced binary tree is. What is the best language to learn DSA with? I've answered this. I don't have a question here, just registering cool. How can a beginner learn DSAs without losing interest? The study group is great, I think. These are people that also want to learn. So I would say leverage the community. And if you're stuck, ask a question. Just ask questions as much as you need. I mean, I won't always be available to answer, but I would try to be available as much as possible. But then the idea also is that, you know, as a community, people are also able to answer each other's questions and help each other, you know, get through the learning process, enjoy that. Can you please drop great resources to get started with Spring Boot? I would redirect you to the Slack channel. There's a backend link to the Slack group. So yeah, the Slack group, then there's a backend channel. I think that's what you say, yeah. So in that, like, ask this question on Spring Boot there, I guess. Are we taking questions first before the class, or has the class already been taken? Again, this isn't a class. This is just a way to get questions answered. So I'm not necessarily coming with like any preconceived thing to teach you, but I'm happy to answer questions that you have, whatever they are. Like I said, like you would get the best out of this whole study group thing if you like take ownership of your learning process. And I've shared links, like a link to also help you plan that if you need. I'll share it in the Slack group, like I said. What's the big annotation? I shared link for that. Okay, cool. So I'm done with this. Does anyone have a question before we solve one or two of these questions that people put here? Does anyone have like a question from the call? Please, like, you can unmute and ask me before we go on. Nope. Okay, cool. So the question I missed was, the purpose of linked list is to solve some limitations that occur in arrays. When considering a language like JavaScript, I can't seem to see that array limitation showing up. That's correct, and that's because in JavaScript, the concept of an array is merged with the concept of a list. So basically, you can define an array in JavaScript, but just keep adding values to it. And what JavaScript will do underneath is to keep extending the array automatically for you. So in a language like Java, you can define an array of a specific size. And if you try to add more values than the size can accommodate, you would get an error. But for JavaScript and Python, you can just keep adding values. And what they do underneath that is to just keep extending the underlying array. I hope that answers the question. All right, cool. So let's solve this. What can I use to solve this? What platform? Cramp. It's Cramp work. Let me see. Set a practice session. This. No. That's not what I mean. Practice the friend, right? I am just going to invite Sadar to this. Give me a sec. Sorry? Yeah, I was saying I was just going to invite you. Like, I'm not like, I need to invite someone, but it's not very important who I invite. I just need I just need this to start. Oh Lord, please can we just start? Thanks. Thank you. I'm not sure this is the best way. There's probably a better way to do this, to be honest, like a better platform. If anyone knows, please let me know. All right, cool. So this is Java. I think I know enough Java to solve this. So let's copy the question here. Right. All right, cool. So again, so given an array this of size n, containing elements from 1 to n, find a position after exactly k jumps from index 1 where the jump from the ith index sends to array I. Is the person that asked this question on the call, by the way? Like, I kind of want to know if you have examples or something else I can run off with. Because if I don't have examples, I'll just basically make a bunch of assumptions. No one? Okay, cool. Okay, so they said that you have an array. So this is an example. Please let me know if this is clear or if I should. If you can see, please just let me know at any point. Thanks. So let's assume you have an array like this. So you have 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, 0, something like this, right? Of size n. So the size of this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the size is 6, right? Containing elements from 1 to n. Okay, cool. So that's actually, so if I have 6, so my array should contain elements from 1 to 6. Okay, so I think I'm passing that except this. Interesting. Okay, find a position after exactly k jumps from index 1. An array of size n containing elements from 1 to n. I'm kind of confused by the fact that we're starting at index 1. What happened to index 0? Yeah, because index 6 is never going to work, right? So if we're going to array I, then array 6 is never going to work for an array of size 6. Like, this is going to be invalid for this because an array is 0 indexed. All right, cool. So my assumption is that 6 is actually not what we want. And this person was talking about 0 from n to -1. That's going to be my assumption. All right, cool. Find the position after exactly k jumps from index 0, where the jump from the ith index sends to array I. So basically, they're saying that we want to find the final position after we make k jumps. So let's say like we're making k is equal to 3 jumps. So we're making 3 jumps, right? That's fine. All right. And we're starting at index 0. So I'm going to bring this down again. So move this up. That's fine. So they said that whenever we jump from a particular index I, okay, no 1, that was meant to be I. No, we're starting from 1, sorry, 0. And then when we jump from the ith index, we go to array I. So if, for example, we're jumping from the 0th index, so that means we're jumping from, so array 0 is what? Is 2. So if we jump from array from the 0th index, we will land at array 2. Okay, cool. Right, so basically, when we jump, let me do this. So our initial position is going to be some ith index. And to jump, the position we jump to from the ith index is array the index of the value in the index that we're jumping from. That sounds confusing. But basically, we're starting at index 0, right? The value at index 0 is 2. So the position we jump to is array 2. Is index 2 rather. Sorry. Yeah, index. Right. So we get to index 0 and we find that the value at index 0 is 2. So the value we jump to is index 2. So that means we get to, so this is index 2. Now at index 2, we have 1. So it means that the place we jump to is index 1, right? And at 1, we have, what do we have? 3. We have 3. So the value we jump to is, the location we jump to is index 3. Cool. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. But this makes sense to people on the call.
Not really. I don't really.
Please, can you repeat again?
Yeah.
Oh, this thing does not make sense to me. Oh.
Okay, cool. No, that's fine. Thanks for speaking up. So, you're given an array. This is the name of the array, right? We'll just call it R is the name of the array, right? Of size n. So the array has a particular size, and the elements in the array go from 0 to n minus 1. This means that in the array, the values you have in the array must not be, so if I have an array of, the name of the array is R, so I'll just kind of use R to represent that. That's kind of clear. Then we have a size n, so they would have given you what, like the size, in the question, like they tell you what the size is. So let's say the size is 3. So we know that the size of our array is 3. Then they now tell us that the array contains elements from 0 to 3 minus 1. That means the array can only contain elements from between 0 and 3. So that's 0, 1, and 2. So the array cannot contain, can only contain elements between 0 and 3 minus 1, which is 0, 1, and 2. Is this clear at this point?
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Now they're saying find the position after k jumps. So we're assuming k is a value that they give us, right? So let's say they give us a k value called, I don't know, 2. Also, I kind of want to switch this out a bit. 1 sec. 0 and 2. Let me put it here. It doesn't matter how it's arranged, but if it's scattered, it makes for an interesting jump. So let's say that the k value they give us is 2. So that means they're asking us to find the position after exactly 2 jumps, right? Now they're saying that we start at index 0, like we start to jump from index 0. So when we jump, what exactly is happening? So index 0, first of all, is this first index, and the value at index 0 is 2. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Yeah.
So we're starting the jump from index 0, and the value at index 0 is 2, right? That's clear, right? Cool. Now, they're telling us how jumps happen. So they're saying that where the jump from the ith index sends us to the index of the value at, I can't think of like a good way to like explain what this means. Sorry, yeah, like a succinct way to explain what this is, but I can explain it in like a more verbose way. So they're saying basically that if I'm starting from index 0, so index 0, I know that index 0 is, the value at index 0 is 2, right? So I know I'm starting my jump at index 0. So this is my I is 2. Does this make sense? My initial I is 2.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, right. They're now saying that when I start my jump from index 0, the place I would land, like when I jump, the position I would land is, I would take the value at the current index I'm on and go to the index of that value. So I start jumping from index 0, and to know where I'm going to land after this jump, I check what the value at index 0 is, which is 2. Then I go to index 2.
Okay, makes sense.
So I start at index 0. To know where I'm going to land after this first jump, I check what the value at index 0 is, which is 2. Then I go to index 2. That's where I land after the first jump. Does that make sense so far?
Yes, makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does.
Makes
It does
sense.
make sense.
Makes sense
All right,
now.
cool. So then I now go to index 2, and I know I need to make an extra jump. So this was the first jump landed me at index 2. And I need to make, sorry, can read one minute, please. Thank you. So I know I need to make another jump. So from index 2, how do I know where to land? I check what the value at index 2 is. So index 2 is, the value at index 2 is 0, 1, 2, is 1. So that means that I would go to index 1. So that's why I land finally. Right. So index 1 is my final position. So find the position after exactly 2 jumps from this array. My final position is going to be index 1. So that's what I return from my function. Does that make sense?
Sense.
Right. So now that we understand what's happening here, it would be, I mean, I don't think we have time to think of if there's a more efficient solution or whatever, but this is how like you would generally approach a question. So there's a question, I walked through a few examples to make sure I understand what's going on. And I, you guys are my sounding board here. So if you're like my interviewers, I want to make sure that you understand what my approach is. And actually, this is me just understanding problem stuff. I've not even come up with an approach. So let's come up with an approach. So basically, I know that I'm starting at index 0. And I want to keep jumping. So I know that I have 3 jumps. Right. So I know that I probably have a while loop that's a while or for loop, it doesn't matter. That, the condition is, the max is k times. So k is like k jumps, sorry. Yeah. So the while loop will go k times, or the for loop will go k times, because I need to make k jumps. And what is going to happen is I have my initial position. My initial position will be 0. Then in the first jump, I am going from my new position would be array of current position, the index of the current position.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, please.
I don't know.
I think we can write as we go. Yep.
Okay, so my question is, what if the first element, let's say you're starting from index 0, let's say for the example of this 3-element array that you're using, let's say where you have that 2 now, you have 5. So your first jump is already taking you outside the array. How do you handle that?
Right. So this is a good, remember that in the text study guide I shared earlier, I mentioned here that you want to think about edge cases and ask clarifying questions. So that is a good clarifying question to ask, right, in this case. But in the question, you would notice that it tells you the range of elements that the array can contain. So the array can never contain 5 if the size is not at least 6. Because your array can only contain elements from 0 to size -1. So if the size is 3, the only values, the only elements that can be in the array are 0, 1, and 2.
Okay. I didn't see that part. Okay, that's
yeah. All right, cool.
So it's always going to be within range.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, are you?
Sorry?
I am just trying to contribute to the question you asked as well. I think I have an understanding of how that works as well. I don't know if I appreciate it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, like I think sometimes if you are given a length, like if a number there is more than the length, I think most times like, we tend to use modulus. So we're going to use the remainder of of the number we get. Like the way we have like three there and probably the number is on five, you can use like three modulus of five. So we'll be working with two on there. So it's just going to move twice. Because if you go the iteration of five, it's still going to be the same number as if you moved twice.
Modulus might be useful, but I don't think it's very useful in this case because they already tell you what the range is.
Okay.
So you are sure that the values in the array would never be more than n minus 1. So if the size of the array is 3, you're never going to have greater than 2 in the array.
Okay.
Because it starts from 0 and it goes to 2 because 3 minus 1 is 2.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
So yeah, sure, that's fine. So I do like while k minus something like this greater than 0. So I'm reducing this, basically reduces k on each iteration. So the first time I start, k is going to be, let's say that this I pass in case 3 initially, right? So k will be 3. So in the first one, what do I want to do? I get initial position. My current position, I'm starting my jump from where? Index 0, right? So I put 0 there. That's my position. So in each jump, my position is going to be the index, the value of.
So can I talk about it?
Sure.
So I was thinking you can like obtain the value of the first index initially. Sorry, please, I'm coming.
Talk to me. Okay, so we should be able to run this, I think. Give me a sec. How exactly does Java do this again? If I want to put in multiple values. K. I think I'll just bring K. I'm not sure how to add multiple values to the system reference line. I'm not sure if it just works like it does in Python. I wonder if
You can do plus. You can do plus. K plus or K dot concat.
Concatenate.
Yeah,
Just concatenate
concatenate.
it. Yeah.
dot concat, right? Thanks, guys. That's helpful. I forget. So I should have so jump. All right, cool. So let's test this, right? I would have table. What did I just do? So I have an array, something like, and I define and I put in what our values. So we have 201 of you that we had here. So I do that here. Then I do system dot out.
Yeah. I'll put on James for question.
Sorry, no, find position. R, and I want to make how many jumps? 2 jumps. So 2 jumps should return what exactly in this case? 1. We should get 1 from this, right? After 2 jumps. So let's see if that works. So we should be able to run the, let me see, where do you click run again?
Check line 19. I think you're missing a semicolon.
Line 19, yeah, thank you. There's a problem with like writing code in Python for so long. Okay, so my stuff breaks. I'm missing a bunch of semicolons. I might not, yep. Nice. And I'm missing this one too.
That's
I'm not defining.
The content of this while loop, is it a Java syntax? What version?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it should be. Something weird is going on here. I'm going to just check a redefinition in Java. I haven't written Java in a while. Okay, so apparently I don't need. This should work though, and then this should work. So what is it complaining about today? Illegal start of expression. Why is it illegal? Let's try this. Let's try running it again. I'm pretty sure I can start an array that way though. Non-static method. Okay, I need to make it static. Cool.
I think he's also complaining about
Yeah,
using.
static. Just static, no
You
problem.
should have used plus.
I should have used what?
It's complaining about .concat.
Oh, I see. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not doing the implicit thing. Damn.
Yeah, exactly.
Java. I mean, Java is a good language. I love Java, to be honest. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, jump. I don't think this is. Yeah, I mean, you see that there are two jumps, but I don't think this is actually what I was expecting. I was expecting 1 and 2, but whatever. But we see that the final value is 1, which is what we want. We can try with this other one.
Yeah.
Right, we can have
Okay.
2 is equal to. I think this is all we're going to be able to do today. I can actually check the other question. How many jumps was this one? Sorry, 3 jumps. And 3 jumps landed me at index 3. So let's see if that is the case still. Yeah, cool. So yeah, I think we're done with this question. So someone's asking me if this was Java syntax. So it is. So basically what this is doing is it subtracts 1 from k in every, it's almost like not doing this and then coming here to do k minus minus. It's like the same thing. But yeah, that's less lines.
Okay,
Cool.
okay, I get it now. I thought the minus minus was together with this thing, like I get it.
With the I see.
With the greater
Right.
than.
Cool. So we're done. This is fine. I don't know if you guys want this, but I'll post this in the Slack channel or whatever. Slack query. And then I'll look at the.
Sorry, there was one I posted in the chat. I don't know, just like you said, this is the last one, but I would have really loved it to kind
Which one
of
did you
look at
post?
it. There something about an ATM machine dispensing money and all of that. There was something I came across in an interview.
An ATM machine dispensing money.
Yeah, it's in the chat. An ATM machine is loaded with 3 notes, something like that.
I can't find it. That sounds interesting. Where is it?
It's towards the end of the chat. Just scroll down on the chat.
So
Someone
is
sent
like
it just now.
Is it the data structures and algorithms?
Yeah, it's a data structure and algorithm question.
Okay, I'm in there. I can't find it. Can someone tag me, please?
No, I mean in the chat here.
In this
Here
call.
in the
on the call. Oh wow, yeah. I was looking at the.
I also wanted to ask if you only use Java for these sessions.
I mean, we can try Python, but yeah, and I don't know. Like, does it matter though? Why are you asking?
I'm not really familiar with the syntax, like since static int. I'm not familiar with this at all. Like,
yeah, I would say that this is a good opportunity for you to. I mean, I get you, but it's a good opportunity for you to.
Sorry, Mr. Ayomide, I have a question. Is static and const same, like constant in JavaScript?
No. So, guys, I kind of want to clarify this at the beginning. The language semantics are not too important. What is important is that you understand how we solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, forget about how I implemented it in Java. Most of the time I spent was explaining what the problem actually was and how we would go about solving it. And so it doesn't matter what language you write it in, right? As long as you understand what you want to do, it doesn't matter what language it is. If I was going to write in Python or any other language, even if I don't know how to like write a while loop in that language, I know that, okay, I want to go k times. So I think about, I will Google, how do I want to, jump, like, sorry, how do I want to get like a conditional loop going in this language? It might have a different syntax than this, but it doesn't matter. How do I define an array? It doesn't matter. Static is just like a keyword in Java that talks about the fact that I can call a method. So this method is within a class. I don't need to define an object on this class to be able to use this method. So I can call find post directly. If there was no static, it would mean that I need to define like an object for main like this or something, right? And then I'll call find post on this for this to be able to work if this didn't have static, right? So it doesn't matter too much, to be honest. So the focus here, I think, should be you understanding what we're actually doing, like how to solve a problem, and you can do it in any language. And it's even like a challenge for you, right? If you understand what we're doing and I write it in a particular language, then you can take it up as a challenge to write it in another language. And that would be like a learning process for you there. So I use Java because I mean Java is just Java. It's easy to understand. Like Java does things in predictable ways.
Yeah.
So I think I can remove this. Sorry. I posted the thing on the chat. So there's another interesting question here. Is this? Let's see. I don't know. An ATM machine is loaded with 3 nodes, 100, 50, and 20. Write a JavaScript function that returns an array of numbers representing the number of each denomination to be dispensed by the machine when a customer tries to withdraw money. Oh, that's an interesting question. For example, amount 250, function returns 110. This implies
for each denomination, but it's quite tricky. I think there's one example there that will really give you idea of how tricky the question is.
What's the example?
I think the one, let me just get the particular one. I think it's the one that has $230 or something like that.
Okay, I think I have that here.
Yeah.
I have that here.
I feel it's actually straightforward, honestly.
No.
Just like
it isn't straightforward actually. I see
So
what
it's
you're
not.
saying. So my first assumption here was that we could just divide. So I take, for example, 230. So this is 230, right? And I go through again. So these are the three values. I'll remove the dollar sign because they're a bit confusing. So go through these three values one after the other and just divide and see what the. So for example, I'll just divide 230 by this. When I divide 230 by that, I know that I can get $200 bills here, and then I have 30 left. But the problem here is that when I have 30, there's no other way to withdraw 30.
Exactly.
Here. So I can't just like blindly divide by 100 first and ignore. Yeah. So I need to think a bit more about this. So yeah, this is an interesting problem actually. Cool. So let's all right. So let's read the question. An ATM machine is loaded with three notes: $100, $50, and $20.
Yes, I have a suggestion. Yeah.
Sure.
Is it possible to use like some form of highest common factor to solve the problem? Like, say for example, for that 230 now. Say for
Sorry,
example, for that
can I read the question first, and then we can get suggestions actually.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So an ATM machine is loaded with three notes: $100 bills, $50 bills, and $20 bills. Write a JavaScript function that returns an array of numbers representing the number of each note's denomination to be dispensed by the ATM machine when a customer tries to withdraw money. Example: you have $250. And for $250, you can get $250 is even incorrect. Like you can get $200 bills and then one $50 bill, and that should be fine. And that's actually where it begins to deceive you from this point because you think it's just straightforward. But then, with our 90, it also kind of worked that way because for 90, I can just divide by 100, see that 90 is greater than 100. Sorry, 90 is less than 100, so I ignore 100. 90 is greater than 50, so I just like divide by 50, and I get 1. And the remainder there is 40, and I get 40 divided by 20, and I get 2. So then I get this output. That's kind of straightforward at that point. But 230 is tricky because like I explained already, you can't just like divide blindly. You wouldn't like you would just like get the remainder of 30 and not be able to do anything with that. So yeah, what do we do? So the person that was give a suggestion, we're all ears. Yes, Replit. Thank you. I would use Replit next time. That is a perfect idea actually. I just saw someone's suggestion for Replit. Who was the person that was given suggestion last time?
I think it was Kuyum.
So anyone that has a suggestion can talk here.
Okay, what I was going to say was, so I don't know if this works. So what we can do is, I don't know if there's a function in JavaScript to just get the whole number. So let's say we divide 230 by 100. So we get 2.3, right? Then we just extract the 2 out of it. Then we subtract the value from multiplying that 2 by 100. And then we say go to the next number, which in this case is 50. So if we divide 30 by 50, that will give us 0 point something. And of course, we can't. So that means we have 0.15 naira notes, and then we move on to the next one again, which is 20. So I don't know if that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. We don't have a lot of time, so kind of have an idea here. I don't know if this is the most efficient way to solve this. There might be more, but one way I've kind of thought about is to try. I forget what this is called. Backtracking. Try like different paths. So we would do backtracking, and I think we can make backtracking more efficient by like storing stuff in between. So let me explain what I mean. So for example, we would need to try like different. We cannot know exactly how we want to share the or my assumption is that we cannot know exactly how we would share like splits between like these denominations, except we try all the combinations possible, or except we get to we try all the combinations possible. Maybe not all the combinations possible. Maybe there are some combinations we can discard, but I'm not sure about that at the moment. But anyway, let's see. So if we have let's say that I'm the first thing I'm trying is I'm going to try to the first thing I tried to do was divide 230 by 100. 230 by 100 didn't work. Someone is saying we can sort the array from least to max, then loop from the smallest one. And if modulo is 0, then we can remove the value from the integer. Then we can remove the value of the integer from the given amount until we get to 0. I don't understand what that means. We can remove the value from the integer.
I explain it. So like I just dropped that. So like you could just, if we use like 2050 and like loop it and we have 2050 and 100 and say for 230, you first check with 20 if you can divide and give you 0. It doesn't give you 0, so you skip 20. You go to 50, you divide, it doesn't give you 0, so you skip that. And then you go back to the last one. And then when you get to the one that has like a module value of 0, you can remove like the amount.
No, I don't understand that. Let's follow. We don't have a lot of time actually to try this out. But let me try and follow this for a sec, right? We have 230. You're saying that we go from smallest to bigger, so 50, 20, 50, and 100, right? 230 divided by 20, 230 divided by 20 as well. 11.5.
10 and a remainder, yeah, so we won't.
11 with the remainder of 10.
Yeah.
11.5. So you're saying that we don't do anything there? Okay, so we go to 230 divided by 50. We're also going to get a remainder here. So what do we do? Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think that approach is going to work because it's just going to be giving.
Then we go to 230 divided by 100. Yeah, that also doesn't give you like a remainder of 0. So I don't think that's going to work. But yeah, that's fine. Let's kind of put that, come back to that on the chat or something. So 230, like the first approach, the first path I would try is I would try and divide 230 divided by 100. Right? And so yeah, 230 divided by 100 gives me 2. The remainder is 30. So when I get that, I try to divide by 50. 50 doesn't work. Then I try to divide 30 by 20. 30 by 20 now gives me 30 by 20 gives me 1.
Remainder 10.
And I have a remainder. As long as I have a remainder, that's not a valid path, because if I have a remainder at 20, there's no hope again. Like there's no other notes that can give me something here. So this path is invalid. So then the next thing I would try is what's next thing I would try? So if I divide, so is it dividing I should use, or
I don't actually think it's possible to redraw that. So let's say you go to 18, right? Practically, and you want to redraw 800 naira, and the 18 dispenses 500 and 1000. 18 would not do that. It will tell you, it's either you give it a round value or nothing comes out. So practically, I don't think it's possible.
No, this should work,
It's
right? I mean,
possible
you
actually.
can go to the ATM and say 100 plus 50. That's 150. Then 150 plus 80. 150 plus 80 should give me 230. So if I get 100 and I get 50 like $150, then I can withdraw 80. So I can get four $20 bills, and that should give me 230. So I'm trying to think about how to get there. So I think that I kind of skipped here by dividing by 2. So instead of maybe dividing, what I should try to do is, what we can try to do is
We can mod.
we can, sorry, what?
Mod, like find the modulus.
Okay, so what does that mean? So if you find modulus, what do we do with that?
Okay, the modulus can be passed on to the next value for division.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So
Okay.
we're doing like, I mean, that's what happened here anyway. So like 230 modulus 100 is 30, right? And 30 cannot be divided by, sorry, 50 cannot, 50 cannot divide 30. So we kind of ignore 50. Then we tried 20 to, like 30 divided by 20, which is where we got 1 here. I think that's what we're doing.
I think you should just check another example because I have a feeling that this second example is kind of look like not correct. Now, if you see, they said $100 here. They wrote it once. When you look at the first example, it is twice, which is normal. $100 will come out of 250 twice. But in the second example, you only see that it can only go through one. They said once, and it's kind of more confusing. Probably he should give another example we should check to compare if they are all related, because I feel this second one, looks somehow. I don't know. It's just
No,
The second one
actually,
is
that 230. Sorry, that 230
exactly
is meant to give you the tricky nature of this question, to make you know that it's not just about dividing and returning modular. Because I actually solved it and it passed some test cases, but it will fail some because of the tricky nature that you have to always ensure that you dispense the amount using those denominations. How you want to do it now is the headache. It's the tricky nature. It's not like it's not a valid.
So
I think I thought about an approach, although I'm not sure it's always going to give you the same answer. Like now, I want to like make an example. If we're testing it against something like $300, that means we can return an array of 300, yeah. That means $100 3, then $50 0, and then $20 0, yeah. But is it also correct for you to return like $100 2, $50 0, and then $20 5? Is that going to be a correct answer also?
Nope.
Nope, because you are not dispensing so many notes when you should have just dispensed 3 notes of $100.
Okay, then my approach won't work then.
Well, guys, your time, I had to give you guys like 20 more minutes. So we have less than 5 minutes to wrap up this call.
Well, I think this is like an interesting problem, to be honest. We have 5 minutes. We probably can solve this, but I would like to see if we can come up with an approach at least. So if I try one after the other, so I have 100, I have 50, I have 20, right? And I try one after the other. So first of all, I try to remove 230 from 100, right? So let's say I'm just looping over these guys. I try to take 230 from 100, like once. 230 from 100 once would give me 130. Then I move to the next one and try to take 50 from 100. 50 from 100, I can do it in different ways. So basically, for example, to remove 100 from 230, I can do it in two different ways, right? I can either remove 100 or 2. So for example, I can have one, like I can remove 100 or 200. I'm not sure where this is going yet, but cool. When I remove 100, I have 130. If I have 130, then I can, for 50, I can remove either 150, 250s, yeah, 1 or 250s. If I remove 150 from 130, I would have 80 or something, right? If I have 80, then since 20 is the last thing I'm considering, I have to remove the rest of it, which is 4, right? So this is actually the path that I can use. So for 230, I would remove 100 from it. For 130, I would remove, what would I call this now? Sorry, for 130, I would remove 150 from this. And then when I move 150, I have 80 left and I can remove 4. But like there are different paths I can take. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop over to know like the loop I need to take, right? So I'm looping over like, you know, these guys. No, I know like the first value I'm on. So I know that the first value, I know that I want to try and get the highest value out of it first, right? So to know how many tries I can get, for example. So for example, to know how many, to know how many tries I can get, I can try 230 divided by 100. So 230 divided by 100, I'm not sure if this is clear, but I'm just trying to get to like a point so I can explain. 230 divided by 100 gives me 2.3. So that means that, I mean, 2.3 is going to be 2, like in your programming language with ints. So, and it has like a modulus of 30. So what is going to happen is 230 divided by 100 is 2. That means I can get, I can remove between 1 and $200 notes from 230. So I have a for loop that would go between 1 and 2. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Between 1 and 2. And then I try to remove, if I remove, I tried the two different parts, right? If I remove 230, let's say that I is equal to, so I'm going from I is 1 to I is 2, because I can remove either 1 or $200 notes, right? So if I remove one $100 notes, I would have 1 times I times 100 minus, right, as my next value. And then I know that the next value I care about is 50. Sorry, the explanation is not great here. I'm still trying to understand something. Right, so if I do this, cool, then I now, in the next call, so this is basically into recursion, right? So let's use a Skydo to explain this. Give me 1 sec. See, I think I figured it out, at least to a point. Sorry. How do I get a new one? Okay, cool. So I have this, guys, right? and then I have this number. So this array is always the same, right? So I know that I'm going from 100 to 50 to 20. So let's say that I have a method called get. What are we trying to return? Sorry. Get denominations, get number of denominations or whatever. That doesn't matter. Get denomination count or something. In this method, I would pass 230, right? I would also pass this array. Okay, sorry, X. And then I would pass like what value in this array I'm considering. So I'm considering index 0 at this point, right? Because I want to see how many hundreds I can remove from 230. Okay, then I would now also, do I need anything else? I don't think so. I don't think I need anything else yet. So what's basically going to happen is that in this like denomination count method, what I'm going to do is like do 230 divided by 100. I'm going to get 2, right? And I'm also going to do 230 modulo 100. And I'm going to get, what would I get? 30, right? So this 2 that I've gotten here is the number of 100, the maximum number. So this 100 I'm getting is going to be, like, let's say I'm calling this denominations, din. So I'm calling like this array denominations. So these are the 3 denominations I can get. And this is the index of the denomination I'm in. So I'll call this index. Or I'll call it den index. So the denomination index. So this is the current index that I'm considering in this denomination array. So this 100 is actually denomination index, sorry, denomination array. Yeah, denomination index and denomination array. So currently the index is 0 and the index is 0 and the value in the array is 100. So what I'm dividing by 230 here is 100, right? So I just kind of want to get that out of the way so that that's kind of clear. I'll put that here so that we're following. But I'll put 100 just so that it's easier to read. So 230 divided by 100 is 2. This means that the maximum number of 100 I can get is 2, right? So now, because the maximum number of hundreds I can get is 2, it means that it is possible for me to either withdraw 100 or withdraw $200 notes. So I want to try all the cases. So I want to see for, I don't know, int I is equal to 1. So between 1 and 2, right? And I is less than or equal to 2, I plus plus, right? But this is a bit, this is going to try the 2 scenarios. So I'm either going to try and withdraw $100 notes or try and withdraw $200 notes. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And so what I'm going to do here is I'll call this current value. So current value when I first started this method was 230. So now I'm going to try, when I is 1, I'm not just going to call get denomination counts like this, something like that. And then if I only remove $100 notes from 230, what would I get? So 230 minus $100 times 1. So that would give me 130, right? So the first time that when I is 1, the value that gets passed in here is 130. Then I still pass the denomination like this array back in there as it is. That's the denomination array, it doesn't change. But then my denomination index increases. So the denomination index I'm going to be considering next is 1, which means that I want to consider 50. So I'm calling get denomination count again, but when I call it again, the current value is going to be 130, and the current denomination index I want to try for is 50. So you're now basically going to repeat this for 50 as well. You will now find out, for example, so for 130, basically what we did here. So you will see that for 130, the maximum number of 50s that you can remove from 130 is what? 2 as well. And the way you get that is by doing 130 divided by 50. So 130 divided by 50 is going to give you 2. Then that means that you can try to either remove 1 or 2 50s. If you remove 150, you know, like where does that path lead to? If you remove 2 50s, where does that path lead to? What does that part lead to? So it's taking a while. I mean, like if people are able to stay on the call, I'm actually happy to kind of get this to the end, or at least like a working version of it that is not super efficient.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking, sorry Ayomide, I'm thinking they can try it by themselves. Then next week Saturday we join again, and we can start with this. What do you
Okay,
think, guys?
I mean, sure. Right. Cool. Okay, yeah, that's fine then. So I guess leave it open to guys, but leave it open to people. But basically, yeah, this general idea, we want to try all the different paths that. So we want to try and redraw. What's the maximum? We're starting from the largest notes. What's the maximum number of times I can redraw 100 from 230? Is 2. I want to try and redraw either 100 or 200. So that's why I have a for loop here, going from 1 to this max value here. And yeah, that's what we hear. Right. And then I want to now call get denomination count again with the value I have left. And I want to try the same thing for 50. Then I'll try the same thing for 20. Now the catch is, so this is like a recursion, obviously. Your base function is going to be is it called base function? Base case, yeah. It's going to be once it reaches 20, you can't go further, right? Like after you've done 20, you can't go further than 20. So you just return the value at that point. But the catch is that you need to keep count of how many hundreds you have, how many 50s you have, and how many 20s you have. The solution to this problem would be the path that gives you the least number of nodes. So the least number of 100, like all the nodes added together. So if I add all the nodes I have for 150 and 20 together, which path gives me the least number of nodes? That is going to be the solution. So I'll leave it up to you to like figure out how to track the count for the nodes and all of that, and we can talk about it next time, or talk about it on the Slack group, or however way. So I'll put this on the Slack. I don't know if this is helpful for people, but let me just put this in this.
Okay.
Cool. So thanks, guys.
Sorry, please, what's your name on LinkedIn? I like to connect on LinkedIn.
My name is Ayomide Oyekanmi. I would put my name on the group.
Okay. Thank you, Ayomide. Thank you very much, guys, for joining this call. And thank you, Adora, for making this program a success. Thank you for this initiative. So, guys, if you've not joined the Slack channel, I dropped the link on the in-call message, so you can also join. And next time, if you're not able to join the call on the Google Meet, just go back to the Slack channel and go to YouTube so that you can catch up and also be able to join the call. Thank you for joining this call. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ayomide. And
Thanks, everyone.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello.